Hi everyone, back to Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with a little reaction video really just about one of our players that we've all been asking questions about. That is right, Lewis Hall, the mystery of Lewis Hall. What on earth is going on with this player? Well, I think we might have got some answers finally to this mystery. No detectives required, no Poirot, no Vera even from the Northeast. No, Eddie Howe has been speaking about the young left back, and there's been some stories that came out in the press as well. So we're just going to unpack it a little bit, get stuck into this. Just before we do, a little reminder, if you are just checking us out for the first time, good to see you. Why not click subscribe and hang on a little bit longer? We're closing in on 7,000 subscribers, really close. We've got an unbelievable prize for the 7K giveaway. We're also going to do some member giveaways as well very soon. We've got some goodies in the Evermore vault. So smash the member option down there too if you want to help support the channel, help us bring you this great content. But our content is all free, other than you wanting to give a little bit back to us. So click whichever option suits you best. So let's get stuck into young Lewis Hall. And what a frustrating season it has been for Lewis Hall. This season in total, the poor lad has only played, I think it's a total of 11 games. He's got one goal, to be fair to him, which was a cracker against Manchester United in the Carabao Cup. But he's basically been a bit much an unknown figure, unused figure, really, cutting a frustrated, look on the side of the bench. He's watched Dan Burn get rinsed for pace week in, week out. We've all been shouting and asking what the hell's going on. Why is Eddie Howe not playing this player? Are we even going to sign him? Is he going to go back to Chelsea? What the hell's going on? So there's a little bit of news and kind of spotlight and revelations, I suppose, has been shone on the Lewis Hall subject. And to hear Eddie talk about it the way that he has, he spoke about it before, but he spoke about it a bit more definitively, I think, in the last couple of days. So we wanted to make sure we did a quick reaction video about it. The main thing that Eddie Howe said is that Lewis Hall is going to be here for years to come. So that tells me that there is a plan for this player. Now, there's loads of speculation. I think it probably has been almost rubber stamped by Luke Edwards in the Telegraph when he's not, wearing the I Love Steve Bruce and Give Me the Bacon t-shirt. He's actually not a bad writer, to be fair, Luke. So good shout out to you, mate. But he did write a piece about Lewis Hall. And he said that I think Ashworth drove the signing, which does make sense. And I've said this before, when you look in the summer, it was almost like the summer transfer window was split into two different categories, Eddie signing and Ashworth signing, and Tino and Lewis Hall were Ashworth signings, future England fullbacks, all that kind of stuff. Tino's looked great, but obviously Lewis hasn't particularly reached those levels. But from what I'm understanding is that Ashworth obviously pushed to sign Lewis Hall, thought he was a smashing player. Certainly the cameras that we saw in Chelsea last season, he looked really, really good. He had good left foot, can get by a player, a modern day fullback, kind of a thing. And Eddie apparently wanted to sign the player. He was happy with signing the player. He thought, there's real potential there. So in came the player, the fact that his family are Newcastle fans as well. It's just an extra tick in the box, in all fairness. But looking at it, I think when Lewis has come here, it's become quite quick, become quite obvious quite quickly, get my teeth right, that Lewis isn't at the level that Eddie wants him to be at, and he can't really trust him defensively in that team. So from a defensive point of view as a left back, I believe Eddie thinks that Lewis is naive. And I think when you've seen some of the games he's played, he does look a little bit naive in that position. The big one for me, I can't really say Bournemouth, where he got hooked at half-time because everybody was shit at Bournemouth, I think with the exception of probably Louis Miley. But Dortmund, he looked really, really naive. I remember the winger, I can't remember his name now. Was it Maldron or something? Begins with an M. Tell me in the comments if whoever it is. If I'm obviously not up to speed with my Bundesliga wingers, but the ball bounced and Lewis Hall turned his back on it, and the winger was round him. And I thought, ooh, that's an 18-year-old inexperienced defender right there making a mistake, and you could see that in that moment. And obviously Eddie Howe, being quite meticulous, can't run that risk. So I think what's happening with Lewis Hall behind the scenes is, I think Eddie's obviously including him in the match day squads. He's on the bench. He's getting a taste of that. He's probably in and around the lads, camaraderie. We've seen him on the NUFC TV throwing darts and, making bloody pancakes and all this other stuff. He looks like he's really enjoying his time at the club, and he's still a young lad. He's only 19, so he's got so much potential to come. But I think what's happening with Lewis Hall is that Eddie is waiting until he feels comfortable. That Lewis Hall has ironed out those creases and sorted out those naive parts of his game defensively before he unleashes him. I mean, we can see the kid's got a great left peg. He's got pace. He can get up and down the line. But, Lewis Hall was a midfielder converted back to a left back by Frank Lampard, I think it was. And he looked quite decent there. But he's not good enough to be a midfielder, in my opinion. But he can be a really good wing back, and a modern day wing back. I look at him and I think of the likes of Andy Robertson and players like that, get up and down that line, whipping in crosses. But Andy Robertson is fantastic defensively, and you have to be good defensively as well as offensively. And I think that's where Lewis Hall is falling short in Eddie Howe's eyes, and that's why he's not putting him in a position where he maybe will get exposed, and then the fan base will turn him a young lad and all that kind of stuff. But what's important that's come out in the last few days is that it sounds like Lewis is going to be here for years to come, says Eddie Howe. So he obviously wants to support this player. He believes this player has something. And I think what we might see with Lewis Hall is a little bit of the Anthony Gordons, where he was kind of used sparingly the season before, and then the next season, boom, look at Anthony Gordon now. And I think Lewis Hall has the potential to do the same. If he goes away and he works really, really hard, on his fitness in the off-season, and he comes back and he hits the ground running in pre-season and he looks good defensively, he's sharper, I think we'll see him getting more game time. And I think we'll see that lad slowly become our number one left back. Whether we sign someone in the summer in that position, I don't know. But I think Lewis Hall definitely has potential to be Newcastle United's left back going forward. I think this deal is definitely going to go ahead by the sound of it. Now, the different, parameters of triggering the deal full time, being mysterious. People have talked about, is that why he's not playing so it doesn't trigger the deal? But I think, some of the revelations have come out now that Newcastle's league position is a big prerequisite of this deal, and it's come out now that as long as we finish above 15th, which unless we completely fall off the edge of a cliff on, we should do, then the Lewis Hall deal will become permanent. So it must have been something that was drawn up into the contract. So the minute we guarantee that we won't be able to drop before 15th, and that Lewis Hall deal should become permanent. And I really do think there's a player in there. I think everyone just maybe needs to be a little bit patient, which is football fans we're not very good at. We've got to trust the manager. We've got to trust the process, as I said a long time ago in the funny TikTok that we did. But it's true. Eddie Howe has a process with this player. He's looking at this player, he sees potential, he sees the raw potential of him, the pace, the left peg, and he's probably looking, it's just that little bit missing, which is the defensive abilities. Tino's got that. Tino can defend and he can attack, whereas Lewis hasn't quite got that yet. So if Lewis can work on that part of his game, get that kind of shown up, I think he'll be a fantastic player for Newcastle United. And I think that deal will definitely go ahead and be permanent in the summer. It looks very much like that is going to be the case. So I think questions answered there by Lewis Hall. Maybe we can all stop asking the questions about it. We're still pushing for a European place. We're still in the cup. So it's not like we're in a position where we're, comfortably mid-table and safe and, you're not going to get relegated, but we're not going to be in Europe. We've still got things to play for. So I can understand why Eddie doesn't want to take the risk by giving Lewis Hall game time in case he does make a few mistakes and then his confidence gets knocked and maybe all the good work that's done behind the scenes gets undone. But yeah, I think Lewis Hall will be a Newcastle United player next season by the sound of it. Eddie seems like he wants him, and it would just be the most Eddie Howe thing to have this lad come back next season and be utterly fucking class at left back and just be, unbelievable up and down that line, defending, attacking, whipping in crosses and looking the real deal. And again, you'll go back and say, wow, look what Eddie Howe's done to develop a young player once again, because he's a fantastic training ground coach. And I think he is going to make Lewis Hall the player that we all want him to be. We just have to be patient with it, guys. But that's my thoughts on this. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below about it. Do you think, what Eddie's saying is good to hear? Are you happy that Lewis Hall is signed, or would you rather we sent him back to Chelsea and got another player in the summer? It doesn't sound like that is going to be the case. Do you think this deal was good from the interim? Do you think it's a bit of a mistake or whatever? But this is the kind of deals that Newcastle are going to be doing, I think, moving forward. So let us know what you guys think about those kind of deals. We always like to hear from you. As I mentioned at the start, smash subscribe, come and join us. We're nearly at 7,000 subs. You can help us get there, push us over the edge. Become a member as well. There's some cracking member giveaways. Me and Mark have been shopping about for some great goodies. So the members, you're going to get some good rewards very, very soon for your loyalty. So smash that button, guys. Support Evermore. Subscribe. All free content. We'll catch up with you soon. Take it easy.